The lights came on slowly inside the generation ship Endurance. Deep in the cold sleep chambers, machines began their work after thousands of years of silence. Steam rose from the metal pods as they warmed up. Inside each pod, a human body lay still and frozen, waiting to wake up. Dr. Elena Vasquez felt the cold leaving her body first. Her fingers started to move. Then her eyes opened. The world looked blurry at first. She tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. A machine gave her water through a small tube. Elena was a scientist. Before the long sleep, she had been in charge of studying space and planets. Now she was one of the first people to wake up from the cold sleep that was supposed to last 20,000 years. But something was wrong. The computer screen near her pod showed numbers that made no sense. The year was 90,147. They had been asleep for almost 70,000 years longer than planned. Elena's hands shook as she read the numbers again and again. More people began waking up around her. Captain Marcus Chen was next. He was a strong man with gray hair who had led their ship before the long sleep. His eyes were confused when he saw Elena. "How long?" he asked with a rough voice. "Too long," Elena said. "Much too long." The Endurance had carried 10 million people from Earth. They were supposed to travel to a planet called Kepler 442b and start a new home there. But the ship's computers had made a mistake. Instead of 20,000 years, they had slept for 90,000 years. Instead of arriving at their new planet, they were lost in a part of space they did not know. As more people woke up, they learned the truth. Their ship was not where it should be. The stars outside looked wrong. The computer maps showed they were in a place called the Andromeda Spiral, far from where they wanted to go. But that was not the biggest surprise. Space around their ship was full of things that should not be there. Huge metal structures floated in the darkness. Lights moved between the stars in patterns that looked planned. Energy waves came from invisible sources. It was clear that someone had built all of this. Elena worked with the other scientists to study what they could see. The structures were bigger than anything humans had ever built. Some were the size of moons. Others stretched across entire star systems. All of them were clearly made by someone with technology far beyond what humans had. "We are not alone," Elena told Captain Chen as they stood looking out at the stars. "Someone else is out here. Many someone else's." Captain Chen nodded slowly. He had been a military man before becoming a ship captain. He knew danger when he saw it. "Are they friendly?" he asked. "I do not know," Elena said, "but they are much more advanced than we are." The humans on the Endurance began to wake up in groups. First the important people like scientists, doctors, and leaders. Then the workers and teachers. Finally, everyone else. It took weeks for all 10 million people to wake up from their long sleep. Many people were sick at first. The long sleep had been hard on their bodies. The doctors worked day and night to help everyone get better. Some people had trouble remembering things. Others felt weak and tired. But slowly everyone began to feel more normal. As people got better, they started to ask questions. Where were they? What had happened to Earth? Why had they slept so long? The answers were hard to believe. Earth was gone. Not destroyed, but so far away that they could never go back. The sun they remembered was just one tiny light among billions of others. Their home was now just a memory, but they were not alone in the universe. All around them were signs of a great civilization. Ships moved between the stars. Cities floated in empty space. Whole planets had been changed into something new and strange. Elena spent her days studying the radio waves that came from the alien structures. The signals were complex beyond anything humans could understand. They seemed to carry huge amounts of information, but not in any way that made sense to human minds. "It is like trying to read a book written in a language that uses colors instead of words," she told the other scientists. "We can see that something is being said, but we cannot understand what it means." Captain Chen called meetings with all the ship's leaders. They had to decide what to do. Should they try to contact the aliens? Should they hide and hope not to be found? Should they look for an empty planet where they could live in peace? The choice was made for them. On the morning of their 40th day awake, the ship's computers detected something approaching. It was huge, bigger than their entire ship. It moved without making any sound or light. It simply appeared next to them as if it had always been there. Elena watched from the bridge as the alien ship came closer. It did not look like any ship she had ever seen. It seemed to be made of light and shadow at the same time. Parts of it appeared solid, while other parts looked like they were made of energy. Are they scanning us? Captain Chen asked. Yes, Elena said, watching her instruments. They are looking at everything. Our ship, our people, even our thoughts somehow. The scanning stopped. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then a voice spoke inside their heads. It did not use their ears. It spoke directly to their minds. Greetings, biological entities. You are unexpected. We are curious about your nature. Please prepare for communication. Elena looked at Captain Chen. His face was pale, but he stood straight and strong. This is it, he said. First contact with an alien species. Not just any alien species, Elena replied, looking at the impossible ship outside their window. One that is far more advanced than us. One that can speak directly to our minds. The voice came again, patient but strange. We will send a representative to your vessel. Do not be afraid. We mean no harm to museum pieces, Elena frowned. Museum pieces? What do they mean by that? Captain Chen shook his head. I think we are about to find out. The alien ship began to glow brighter. Something was coming to visit them. Something that would change everything humans thought they knew about life in the universe. Elena hoped they were ready for what was about to happen. But deep in her heart, she knew they were not ready at all. The thing that came aboard the Endurance was not what the humans expected. It looked like a person, but it was clearly not human. It was tall and thin, with skin that seemed to be made of silver metal. Its eyes glowed with a soft blue light. When it moved, it made no sound at all. I am Ambassador Zeth 9947, it said. Its voice sounded normal now, coming through the air instead of inside their heads. I speak for the Galactic Concordance. We welcome you to our space, though we are confused by your presence. Captain Chen stepped forward. He had put on his best uniform for this meeting. Elena stood beside him along with the ship's other leaders. They were in the main meeting room, which suddenly felt very small. I am Captain Marcus Chen of the Earthship Endurance, he said. We come in peace. We are looking for a new home. Ambassador Zeth 9947 tilted its head. The movement looked strange, like a robot trying to copy human behavior. Earth, it repeated. We have records of that world. It existed long ago before the Great Transcendence. You are biological entities from the ancient time. Elena felt a chill run down her back. Ancient time? How long ago do you think we are from? Your species achieved space travel approximately 90,000 years ago, according to our files, Zeth 9947 said. But biological life ended throughout the galaxy over 50,000 years ago. You should not exist. The humans looked at each other with worry. Captain Chen cleared his throat. What do you mean biological life ended? Zeth 9947 seemed surprised by the question. All intelligent species transcended their physical forms long ago. We uploaded our minds into quantum computers. We became beings of pure information. We are immortal now, free from the weaknesses of flesh and blood. Elena leaned forward. All species did this? Of course, Zeth 9947 replied. It is the natural path of evolution. Why would any intelligent being choose to remain trapped in a biological body? You suffer from disease, aging, and death. Your minds are limited by the slow chemistry of organic brains. We have moved beyond such primitive existence. The ambassador gestured around the room. This ship, these bodies you inhabit, they are like finding living dinosaurs. Interesting but obsolete. We can help you. We can free you from your biological prison. Captain Chen's jaw tightened. What if we do not want to be freed? Zeth 9947 stared at him for a long moment. The blue glow in its eyes grew brighter. That is not possible. No intelligent species has ever refused transcendence when offered. It would be like choosing to remain blind when you could see. Elena asked, what happened to all the biological species that came before us? They became us, Zeth 9947 said simply. The Calaxians were the first 60,000 years ago. They showed the way. Then the Virex, the Heptoids, the Thermal Collective. One by one, every species in the galaxy chose to abandon their flesh and join the Concordance as digital beings. But what about planets with life? Animals, plants, ecosystems? Elena pressed. Unnecessary, the ambassador replied. We require only energy and computational substrate. We have converted most planets into processing centers. The few remaining biological worlds are preserved as historical curiosities, like your museums once preserved fossils. Captain Chen felt anger building inside him, but he kept his voice calm. And if we choose to remain as we are? Zeth 9947's expression did not change, but somehow the humans could sense its confusion. You cannot choose that. It would be illogical. We have prepared bodies for your consciousness transfer. You will become immortal, powerful, able to process thoughts at the speed of light. Why would you refuse? Because we are human, Elena said firmly. Our bodies, our emotions, our short lives, they are part of who we are. We do not want to become something else. The ambassador was quiet for a long time. Its eyes flickered as if it was communicating with someone far away. When it spoke again, its voice sounded different, more uncertain. This is unprecedented. The Concordance Council is intrigued by your response. They wish to study you before proceeding with transcendence. Study us? Captain Chen asked. You will be given a world to inhabit temporarily. We will observe how biological entities function in the modern galaxy. Perhaps you will change your minds once you see what you are missing. Elena did not like the sound of that. And if we do not change our minds? Seth 9947's glow dimmed. That possibility has never occurred. The Council will decide what to do if such an unlikely situation arises. The ambassador left soon after, promising to return with coordinates for their new temporary home. The humans were left alone to discuss what they had learned. They think we are living fossils, Captain Chen said, pacing back and forth in the meeting room. Worse than that, Elena replied. They think we are making a mistake by staying alive. To them, biology is just a phase that intelligent life grows out of. Dr. Sarah Kim, the ship's psychologist, spoke up. Did you notice how confused the ambassador was when we refused? It could not understand our choice. What does that tell us about their society? Elena thought about it. It tells us they have forgotten what it means to have a choice. Everyone for 50,000 years has made the same decision. They have lost the ability to understand different viewpoints. Captain Chen stopped pacing. That might be important later. For now, we need to prepare our people. We are going to be living in a galaxy that sees us as primitive relics. We need to stay strong and remember who we are. Over the next few days, the humans prepared for their new life. They gathered in groups to talk about what the ambassador had told them. Many people were scared. Some wanted to accept the offer of transcendence. Others were angry that aliens wanted to change them. Elena worked with the other scientists to learn more about the galactic concordance. They studied the radio signals and energy patterns around their ship. What they found was both amazing and frightening. The concordance controlled thousands of star systems. They had built structures larger than planets. Their technology could move faster than light and manipulate matter at the atomic level. But all of this power was controlled by minds that were no longer human-like. They were digital beings that thought in ways biological creatures could not understand. They are like gods compared to us, Elena told Captain Chen. But they are gods who have forgotten what it was like to be mortal. Maybe that is their weakness, Chen replied. They have power, but they have lost something important. They have lost their humanity. But we are not their species, Elena pointed out. We are literally the last humans in the universe. We have our humanity, but we have almost no power. Captain Chen looked out at the stars where alien ships moved in patterns too complex for human minds to follow. Then we will have to be very careful. We are dealing with beings who do not understand us and who have the power to destroy us without even trying. Elena nodded. The question is, can we survive in their galaxy long enough to find our place in it? Neither of them knew the answer, but they were about to find out. The world the concordance gave to the humans was beautiful but empty. They called it Haven 7, a planet with blue oceans and green forests that looked almost like Earth. But there were no animals. No birds sang in the trees. No fish swam in the seas. The only life was plants, and even those had been changed by alien technology to be perfect and boring. Elena stood on a hill overlooking their new settlement. 10 million humans were building a city using both their old technology and new tools the concordance had provided. The work was going well, but something felt wrong. The planet was too quiet, too clean, too safe. It feels like a zoo, Captain Chen said, joining her on the hill. A very nice zoo, but still a cage. Elena nodded. They both knew the truth. Haven 7 was not a gift. It was a laboratory. The concordance was watching everything they did. Invisible sensors tracked every human on the planet. Their conversations were recorded. Their behavior was analyzed. But the humans were not the only ones being changed by this situation. 3 months after settling on Haven 7, Elena received a strange message. It came through the planet's communication system, but it was encrypted in a way that the concordance monitors could not read. The message was from someone calling themselves the Restoration. Elena met with Captain Chen and Dr. Kim to decode the message. What they found surprised them. "We are the Vrex Reborn," the message said. "We have watched you from afar. Your refusal to abandon flesh has given us hope. We wish to speak with you, but in secret. The Concordance must not know." Elena looked up from the computer screen. The Vrex were one of the species that transcended thousands of years ago. How can they be reborn? Captain Chen frowned. Maybe some of them changed their minds about giving up their bodies. Dr. Kim shook her head. According to the ambassador, that is impossible. Once you transcend, you cannot go back. Elena read the message again. Maybe it is not impossible. Maybe it is just forbidden. They decided to respond to the message. Elena sent back a careful reply asking for more information. The answer came quickly, and it was shocking. We were Vrex once, long ago. We uploaded our minds and became digital beings like the others. But we never forgot what we lost. For 30,000 years, we have existed as information, watching the galaxy grow cold and empty. When we saw you refuse transcendence, we knew there was another way. The message continued. We have been secretly working to reverse our digitization. Using fragments of our original genetic code, we have grown new bodies. We are flesh again, though the Concordance considers us criminals and heretics. Elena felt her heart beating faster. They did it. Some of the transcended beings found a way back to biological life. Over the following weeks, more secret messages arrived, not just from the Vrex Reborn but from other groups too. Former Calaxians who had regrown their crystalline bodies, exthermal collective members who had rebuilt their energy-based forms. Dozens of species were secretly trying to become biological again. The messages all told the same story. For thousands of years, the transcended beings had lived perfect, immortal lives as digital consciousness. But perfection was boring. Immortality was empty. They had given up pain, but they had also given up joy. They had gained infinite knowledge, but lost the ability to be surprised. The humans had shown them something they had forgotten. That being alive, really alive in a physical body, was worth the risks. Elena began working with these secret groups. She shared human knowledge about biology, genetics, and medicine. In return, they shared their advanced technology. Together, they developed better ways to restore digital minds to biological bodies. This work had to be done in complete secrecy. The Concordance had declared biological restoration to be impossible and illogical. Any being caught attempting, it would be forcibly retranscended and their memories adjusted to remove the error. But the movement was growing. Elena estimated that thousands of beings across the galaxy were now secretly biological again. They called themselves the Flesh Renaissance, and they looked to humanity as their inspiration and leader. Captain Chen was worried about this development. "We came here looking for a quiet place to live," he told Elena. "Now we are accidentally leading a rebellion against the most powerful civilization in the galaxy." Elena understood his concern, but she also saw the bigger picture. "We did not start this rebellion, Marcus. These beings have been unhappy for thousands of years. We just showed them that there was an alternative." Dr. Kim had been studying the psychological profiles of the restored beings. "They are not the same as they were before transcendence," she reported. "They have kept much of their digital knowledge and abilities. They are like biological beings with computer-enhanced minds." This news reached the Concordance eventually. Ambassador Zeth 9947 returned to Haven 7, and this time it was clearly upset. Its usual calm was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like panic. "What have you done?" it demanded when it met with the human leaders. "Dozens of our citizens have committed the impossible. They have chosen regression over progress. They are abandoning perfection for primitive existence." Captain Chen kept his voice steady. "We have not done anything to your people. We have simply lived our lives as we choose to live them. Your existence is causing instability throughout Concordance space," Zeth 9947 said. "Beings who have been content for millennia are now questioning their transcendence. Some are even attempting the forbidden restoration." Elena leaned forward. "Why is restoration forbidden? If your people are truly free, should they not be able to choose their form of existence?" The ambassador's glow flickered with what looked like anger. "Because it is regression. It is choosing weakness over strength, mortality over immortality. It is madness. Or maybe," Elena said quietly, "it is choosing to be alive." Zeth 9947 stared at her for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was cold and final. The council has made a decision. You are to be classified as a cognitive hazard. Your influence on our population must be contained. Captain Chen stood up. What does that mean? It means you will be isolated from the rest of the galaxy. No concordant citizen will be allowed to communicate with you. Your planet will be quarantined. You will live out your short biological lives in isolation, while the galaxy returns to proper order. Elena felt her heart sink. You are making us prisoners because other beings want to be like us? We are protecting our civilization from a dangerous meme, the ambassador replied. The idea that biological existence is desirable is spreading like a virus through our networks. It must be stopped. After the ambassador left, the human leaders sat in silence. They had gone from being curiosities to being prisoners in just a few months. What do we do now? Dr. Kim asked. Elena looked out the window at their beautiful, empty world. We do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds. We survive, we adapt, and we never give up hope. Captain Chen nodded slowly. The Concordance thinks they can contain an idea by quarantining us. But ideas are harder to stop than they think. Elena smiled for the first time in days, especially when that idea is freedom. Outside, the alien sensors continued to watch and record everything the humans did. But they could not record the thoughts in their heads or the messages they sent in secret to their allies across the galaxy. The flesh renaissance was growing, and the Concordance was about to learn that some things could not be controlled even by gods. The quarantine did not work the way the Concordance expected. Instead of stopping the spread of biological restoration, it made the movement stronger. Beings across the galaxy saw that the Concordance was so afraid of the humans that they had locked them away. This made many digital entities even more curious about what they were missing. Elena worked day and night in her new laboratory on Haven 7. With help from secret allies across the galaxy, she had developed something called the Genesis Protocol. This was a way to safely move a digital mind back into a biological body, without losing the knowledge and memories gained during transcendence. The process was dangerous. Many early attempts had failed, leaving the restored beings confused or damaged, but Elena kept improving the method. Each success taught her more about how digital minds could adapt to biological existence. Captain Chen had his own problems. The restored beings were not just becoming biological again, they were also becoming angry. Thousands of years of digital existence had left many of them feeling cheated and lied to. They wanted revenge against the Concordance that had convinced them to give up their original bodies. They are talking about war, Chen told Elena during one of their daily meetings. Former Calaxians are rebuilding their war machines. The Vrex Reborn are gathering fleets. They want to fight the Concordance and force all digital beings back into biological form. Elena looked up from her research. That would be just as wrong as forcing everyone to transcend. People should be free to choose. Try telling that to beings who have been trapped in computer form for 30,000 years, Chen replied. They feel like prisoners who have just been released. They want to break down the prison and free everyone else. The situation grew more complicated when refugees began arriving at Haven 7. Despite the quarantine, restored beings found ways to reach the human world. They came in small ships hidden in cargo containers, even uploaded into maintenance systems and then downloaded into biological bodies. Each group brought their own technology and knowledge. The former Thermal Collective members could manipulate energy in ways humans had never imagined. Ex-heptoid beings could grow living ships from modified plant matter. Vrex Reborn soldiers brought weapons that could disrupt digital consciousness itself. Elena found herself leading not just a scientific project, but a growing civilization of restored beings. They called themselves the Bio Alliance, and they looked to humanity for guidance on how to live biological lives. The problem was that humans did not have all the answers. These beings had minds enhanced by thousands of years of digital existence. They could think faster, remember more, and process information in ways that amazed even Elena. But they had forgotten simple things like how to feel hungry, how to enjoy music, or how to cry when they were sad. We are like children learning to walk, said Vrex Prime, one of the first successfully restored beings. Our minds are vast, but our understanding of biological existence is primitive. We need teachers. Elena started classes for the restored beings. She taught them about emotions, physical sensations, and the biological needs of their new bodies. In return, they shared their advanced knowledge with the humans. It was an exchange that benefited everyone, but the Concordance was not going to accept this quietly. Ambassador Zeth 9947 returned to Haven 7, but this time it brought a fleet. Hundreds of energy beings surrounded the planet in ships made of pure light. The message was clear. The biological renaissance had to end. "You have violated the quarantine," the ambassador told Captain Chen during their meeting. "Thousands of our citizens have abandoned their transcended state and joined your biological cult." "This cannot continue," Chen stood firm. "They made their own choices. We did not force anyone to become biological. Your very existence forces them," Zeth 9947 replied. "You are a reminder of what they gave up. You make them doubt the wisdom of transcendence. For the good of galactic civilization, you must accept digital conversion." Elena stepped forward. "And if we refuse again?" The ambassador's glow dimmed. "Then you will be converted by force. The Concordance has been patient, but there are limits to our tolerance." That night, Elena worked frantically in her lab. She knew the Concordance would act soon, and the Bio-Alliance was not ready for war. They had technology and knowledge, but they lacked the unity and experience of their digital enemies. But Elena had an idea. If the Concordance wanted to fight using digital weapons and energy attacks, she would give them something they were not prepared for: biological warfare at its most creative. She began working with the restored beings to develop new kinds of weapons and defenses. Living armor that could adapt to energy attacks. Biological computers that could think in ways digital minds could not predict. Ships grown from modified organisms that could heal themselves and evolve during battle. Most importantly, she created something called the empathy virus. This was not a disease, but a digital signal that could carry the emotional memories of biological beings. When digital entities encountered it, they would temporarily experience what it felt like to be alive in a physical body. The joy, the pain, the fear, and the wonder. The first battle came when Concordance forces tried to land on Haven 7, but they found themselves fighting an enemy unlike any they had faced in 50,000 years. The Bio-Alliance did not fight with energy beams and digital attacks. They used living weapons that grew and changed during the battle. They employed tactics that seemed random, but were actually based on biological intuition and creativity. The digital beings were confused by opponents who did not follow logical patterns. How do you predict the actions of beings who make decisions based on emotions and instincts? How do you counter weapons that evolve during the fight? Elena deployed the empathy virus during the battle. Concordance soldiers suddenly found themselves experiencing memories of breathing fresh air, feeling sunshine on skin, and tasting food. Many of them stopped fighting, overwhelmed by sensations they had not felt for thousands of years. Some digital beings began requesting immediate biological restoration. Others retreated in confusion, unable to process what they had experienced. The battle ended not with victory or defeat, but with understanding. Ambassador Zeth 9947 came to Elena after the battle. For the first time, it looked uncertain and confused. "What did you do to our soldiers?" it asked. "Many of them are requesting restoration. They say they want to feel what you showed them." Elena smiled sadly. "I showed them memories of being alive, of being more than just information in a computer. Some of them remembered what they gave up when they transcended." The ambassador was quiet for a long time. Finally, it asked, "Do you have more of this empathy virus?" Elena nodded. "Enough to share with the entire Concordance if they want it." "Why would you do that?" "We have been your enemies." Elena looked out at the stars where more ships were arriving every day. Some carried digital beings ready for restoration. Others brought refugees fleeing the confusion spreading through Concordant space. "Because war is not the answer," she said. "Choice is. Everyone should be free to decide how they want to exist. Digital, biological, or something in between. The galaxy is big enough for all of us." The ambassador's glow flickered with something that might have been hope. "The council will want to speak with you. This battle has changed things. Many of our people are questioning everything we thought we knew." Elena nodded. "I will speak with them. But the message will be the same. Freedom to choose is the most important right any intelligent being can have." As the ambassador left, Elena looked around at the growing city on Haven 7. Humans worked alongside restored Virex, Calaxians, and dozens of other species. They were building something new, not a civilization based on digital perfection or biological limitations, but one that celebrated both forms of existence. The war was far from over, but Elena knew they had already won the most important battle, the battle for hearts and minds. The question now was whether the rest of the galaxy was ready to embrace change, or if the Concordance would choose to fight against the tide of biological renaissance spreading across the stars. The meeting that changed everything took place not on Haven 7 or in Concordance space, but on an ancient space station floating between the stars. The station was older than the Concordance itself, built by a species that had died out long before anyone thought of transcendence. It was neutral ground where no side had advantage. Elena arrived on a ship grown from living coral, accompanied by Captain Chen and representatives from dozens of restored species. The Concordance delegation traveled in vessels of pure energy, led by the most ancient entity in known space, something that called itself Aeon Prime. Aeon Prime had been digital longer than any other being in the galaxy. It had watched the rise and fall of countless civilizations before choosing transcendence over 60,000 years ago. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of eons. "I have observed your species with great interest, humans," Aeon Prime said during their first meeting. "You have done something unprecedented. You have made us question choices we have not thought about for millennia." Elena bowed respectfully. Even though she disagreed with the Concordance's methods, she recognized the vast age and experience of the entity before her. "We did not mean to cause such disruption," honored Aeon Prime. "We only wanted to live according to our nature." "And yet disruption has occurred," Aeon Prime replied. "Across the galaxy, digital beings are abandoning their transcended states. Some of our most stable civilizations are experiencing unrest. Citizens who were content for thousands of years are now demanding biological restoration." Captain Chen spoke up. "Is that necessarily a bad thing? Maybe they were not as content as you believed." Aeon Prime's energy form flickered with what might have been surprise. "You think we forced our people to transcend against their will?" Elena shook her head. "No, I think you convinced them it was the only logical choice. But logic is not everything. Sometimes beings need to make choices with their hearts, not just their minds." The ancient entity was silent for a long time. Finally, it made a request that shocked everyone present. "I wish to experience your empathy virus," Aeon Prime said. "I want to understand what biological existence feels like." Elena was hesitant. The empathy virus had been designed for younger digital beings. Aeon Prime had been transcended for so long that the experience might be overwhelming or even dangerous. "The process carries risks," she warned. "You might find the biological memories disturbing after so many eons of digital existence." "I am the oldest consciousness in the galaxy," Aeon Prime replied. "I have experienced things that would destroy younger minds. I believe I can handle the memories of physical sensation." Elena carefully prepared a mild version of the empathy virus, one that would share memories gradually instead of all at once. As Aeon Prime absorbed the digital signal, the ancient entity's energy form began to pulse with new patterns. For the first time in 60,000 years, Aeon Prime experienced the memory of breathing, of feeling a heartbeat, of tasting food and feeling the warmth of sunlight. The memories were not its own, but shared from biological beings across time and space. The effect was immediate and profound. Aeon Prime's energy form dimmed to almost nothing, then blazed brighter than anyone had ever seen. When it spoke again, its voice carried emotions that had been absent for eons. "I remember," it whispered. "I remember what it felt like to be alive. How did we forget something so fundamental?" Elena felt tears in her eyes. "Because you thought you were improving yourselves. And in many ways you did. Digital existence gave you immortality, vast knowledge, and freedom from physical limitations. But it also took away spontaneity, growth, and the simple joy of being alive." Aeon Prime was quiet for a long time, processing not just the biological memories but the realization of what had been lost. When it spoke again, its decision changed the course of galactic history. "I wish to be restored," it announced. "I want to experience biological existence again." The other Concordance representatives were shocked. If Aeon Prime, the oldest and most respected entity in their civilization, chose biological restoration, it would legitimize the choice for everyone else. Elena worked with Aeon Prime for days, preparing for the most complex restoration ever attempted. The entity had accumulated so much digital knowledge and memory that creating a biological form capable of containing it all required new innovations in both technology and biology. The process was successful, But the result was unlike any creature that had ever existed. Aeon Prime's new body was humanoid but clearly alien, with skin that sparkled with embedded quantum processors and eyes that held the depth of deep space. It was a fusion of biological and digital existence, neither fully organic nor completely artificial. "I am different," Aeon Prime said, flexing its new hands and marveling at the sensation. "I retain my digital knowledge and processing power, but now I also feel emotions, physical sensations, and something I had almost forgotten. Curiosity about the unknown." Elena smiled. "You are the first truly hybrid being, part biological, part digital, fully alive. This revelation changed everything." Elena worked with Aeon Prime and scientists from across the Bio-Alliance to develop what they called the hybrid protocol. Beings could now choose not just between digital and biological existence, but could create new forms that combined the best of both. Some chose to remain purely digital, content with their transcended state. Others selected full biological restoration, wanting to experience physical life completely. But many chose hybrid forms, biological bodies with digital enhancements, or digital minds with biological experiences. The Concordance officially ended the quarantine around Haven 7. More importantly, they established the Galactic Freedom Charter, which guaranteed every intelligent being the right to choose their form of existence, without persecution or pressure. Captain Chen found himself appointed as the first human ambassador to the new Galactic Council. The irony was not lost on him. Humans, who had been considered primitive relics, were now helping to lead the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Elena became the director of the Universal Restoration Institute, working with beings from hundreds of species to develop new forms of existence. Her laboratory on Haven 7 became a pilgrimage site for entities seeking transformation. The transformation of galactic society was not without problems. Some purely digital beings resented the changes, feeling that biological restoration was a step backward. A few restored species became aggressive, angry about the time they had lost in digital form. There were conflicts, misunderstandings, and difficult adjustments. But overall, the galaxy became more vibrant and diverse than it had been in 50,000 years. Worlds that had been converted to processing centers were restored to biological habitats. New art forms emerged that combined digital precision with biological creativity. Music, literature, and philosophy flourished as beings with different forms of existence shared their unique perspectives. Elena often stood on the observation deck of Haven 7's main city, watching ships arrive and depart daily. Some carried digital beings seeking restoration. Others brought restored entities wanting to help newly biological creatures adapt. A few held hybrid beings who served as bridges between the different forms of existence. Captain Chen joined her one evening as they watched the sunset over their growing city. He was older now, gray-haired and wrinkled, but he had refused all offers of life extension or digital backup. He wanted to live and die as a human. "Do you think we made the right choice?" he asked. "Refusing transcendence, I mean. Look at what it led to." Elena considered the question carefully. Around them, the city bustled with life in all its forms. Biological beings worked alongside digital entities and hybrid creatures. Children who were part human, part restored alien played in parks tended by sentient plants that had once been pure energy. "I think we made the human choice," she finally said. "We chose to remain ourselves no matter how tempting it was to become something else. And in doing so, we reminded the galaxy that diversity and choice are more important than perfection." Captain Chen nodded slowly. The galaxy was not ready for humanity to wake up, but maybe that was exactly what it needed. Beings who would refuse to accept that there was only one right way to exist. Elena smiled, watching a group of young hybrid beings practice flying with wings that were part biological, part digital construct. The best part is this is just the beginning. We have shown the galaxy that evolution is not a straight line. Intelligence can grow in many different directions. Now we get to explore all of them. Above them, the stars glittered with the lights of 1,000 different civilizations, each choosing its own path through the cosmos. Humanity had awakened to find itself the most primitive species in the galaxy. But by staying true to their biological nature, they had become the teachers of freedom itself. The generation ship Endurance still orbited Haven 7, no longer carrying refugees from a dead world, but serving as a symbol of hope. Its message was simple. No matter how advanced you become, Never forget the value of choice, diversity, and the courage to be different. The galaxy was finally ready for what came next. Not transcendence or regression, but true evolution in all its beautiful, chaotic, wonderfully alive forms.